This is Ron Higgins with NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, and it's the April 17th, Friday edition of the First Cup of Coffee. I'm going to talk about college football because that's what we do in the South. We talk about college football every single day of the year. And the college football playoff completed its first year last year. It was successful by most accounts. There was some complaining that there wasn't, some teams left out of the 14 playoff. Of course, Baylor and TCU had pretty good cases, but since Ohio State, the number 4 seed, won the national championship, they kind of went by the wayside. But that said, I noticed the other day, Larry Scott, the Pac-12 commissioner, and Condoleezza Rice on the College Football Playoff Committee were at a speaking engagement at Stanford and talked about how they liked the 14 playoff and didn't think that it should go past those 4 teams. Also, Greg Sankey of the SEC has said, the new commissioner of the SEC has said he likes the 14 playoff, though John Swofford, the ACC commissioner, has said that he'd be for 8. Will it get to 8 teams? I think it probably will sooner or later. Simple math tells you that if you have 5 Power 5 conference champions, only 4 of them can play in the game, and that leaves somebody out. And this year it was the Big 12 with Baylor and TCU. And the biggest argument is that there's enough time in the academic school year between the fall and the spring semesters to fit 3 weeks of games in, 3 rounds of games. Well, they got this far with the playoff. I'm sure they'll figure that out if it meant even more money to the for all the schools involved in the playoff. If you would have had the 18 playoff this year, you would have had some pretty intriguing first-round games, like Alabama versus Michigan State in the first round, which would have been great. Nick Saban versus one of his previous coaching staffs. You would have had Ohio State versus a one-loss Baylor team that thought they should have been in the playoff. Florida State versus TCU, another one-loss team should have been in the playoff. And Oregon versus Mississippi State, a 2-loss team like Michigan State would have gotten the playoff. That would have been fun to watch. This year was a good start. Hopefully it'll get better every year. Hopefully within 4 or 5 years we'll have an 18 playoff. I think that's the right number. This is Ron Higgins with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, and that's the First Cup of Coffee. Friday, April 17th. Have a great weekend.